Today we're gonna make one of my family's favorite dishes. I like it too because it's very easy. It's smothered beef tips. Here are the ingredients. Let's get into it right now. You know the drill. We're gonna go over the ingredients. That's how you do it. I have a 3-pound chuck roast here. We're gonna use chuck roast for this. Typically, this dish is not done with chuck roast. It's done with like the ends of a filet. It's done with the sirloin tips. It's done with some other cuts of beef. You can use all those if you like to, but chuck roast is super forgiving, it's super flavorful, it's super tender. I recommend you use it. I have 3 pounds here. We're going to season that up really well. We're gonna toss it in flour, and then we're gonna sear that up till we get a really nice crust. We're also gonna thicken our sauce with flour, so we'll save the extra bit of flour here. And our sauce is like a sweet and spicy, just really good flavors here, and very simple. 1 large onion that I finely diced, 8 cloves of garlic that I minced, 1 teaspoon of hot red pepper flakes, that's what's going to make it spicy, 3 tablespoons of tomato paste, 1 tablespoon of brown sugar, so that's a sweet component. I recommend you only start with this much. We could always adjust higher at the end. I have 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce, and I have 2 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar. I think we might need a little bit more Worcestershire sauce because I love that stuff. And I can say it right now for all you Brits out there, okay? This is 3 cups of low sodium beef stock. So that's all the ingredients for the beef tips. This is the basic version. And this was Tara's idea, and I think it's a good idea. I have 1 pound of mushrooms that I sliced. I have 3 green onions that I sliced, and then I have 20 pearl onions. This is similar to beef bourguignon, how I did it at the end, sauteed them in butter. And we'll also use butter here to saute them, butter and oil. And then you can like top your dish, like after you serve your beef tips on top of mashed potatoes and rice, or you can just mix them in. Or you can just not be fancy and don't even worry about this, okay? So the choice is yours. So I have chuck roast here. In the recipe, I chunked this all, and you can do that, but it might be a little less work if you just cut this into like 3 pieces. All right, so like here, this piece just naturally pulls off here. So we can just chunk this one. I think this is probably good because what I want to do is I'm gonna just cut this into relatively small cubes. I'll just cut this big hunk of fat because all that's going to happen at the end is you're just going to have a ton of fat in here even after doing this. We have about a 3-pound piece here, so about 1 tablespoon of Diamond Crystal Kosher salt, or a little bit more, okay? You don't have to be super exact, and I'm not measuring, but I want to get a good amount of salt on here. Lots of nice pepper. Okay, just pat that in, and then we're going to do all the sides here. Okay, so here's the beef, well seasoned. You know, you can put garlic powder, onion powder, anything you want on there. And look, just put it in here. Now, if you cut it all up into cubes, you're gonna get more flour on your beef initially, which means you might have a thicker sauce at the end. We're just gonna flour these up and save that flour because we're gonna use it, okay? We're gonna use it for the thickening of our sauce. Okay, when you go like this, you can just knock it off like this, okay? You could also just put all this flour in a bag and shake it, you know? So we're gonna cook everything, and this is like a 5.5 quart Dutch oven. It's gonna take a while to sear all these pieces of beef because, you know, you won't be able to do it in one batch. But if you got the time, go ahead and do it. Or you could just take like a really large 14-inch pan, do it all, deglaze that, save the liquid. That's actually what I'm gonna do just to speed this process up. Heat this up to medium heat. Stainless steel pan, make sure you let your pan heat up before you put the meat down or the oil, or everything will stick. It's been about 3 minutes. Our pan should be good. You can check your pan with a little water if you want. I haven't done this in a long time. This is like older videos. Okay, see that? See how they just go like little balls? Okay, your pan's good. You can use olive oil if you like. You can use a neutral oil like avocado if you... I got the pan on medium, it's okay, but just make sure the oil is completely covering the pan. Okay, and then just get the meat in. And now, because I'm using a 14-inch pan, I will be able to fit everything. Now, the center of the pan is gonna cook hotter because that's where my little heat source is. Now, if you're doing this on a regular stovetop, you're gonna have a bigger heating element. Plus, this tilts a little bit, so I always gotta go like this to get the oil back over there. I wanna get some really nice color on this. Like I said, since we're gonna cook in that pot, we'll deglaze here and save all that beautiful flavor.
You almost said fond.
No.
You said, I'm gonna save all that beautiful flavor.
Again, little small element here. You can rotate your pan. Now you can take a peek too to see if it's brown enough. See, like the middle pieces there will be nice and brown. So they can be moved off to the side. And maybe these ones, see like on the edge, not as much, you could stick that in the middle. You might have seen me use a meat masher in this past, but since we're using such a large pan, you could just take another 14-inch or 12-inch pan and just put it on top, and that will get more contact for your beef, which will develop more brown bits and flavor and all that good stuff. All right, so it's probably been about 5-6 minutes. Let's see how these look. We'll take this one here. Nothing will stick if you heated up your pan properly. And that's all you had to do was heat up your pan properly, give it time, and you will be rewarded with a lot more flavor. Okay, same thing. Don't move them. Let them stick. Let them get nice color. Put a weight on it if you want. The thicker ones you can try to turn on their side too. See, like to hit up this red area here, just like this. After these are done, remove them. Okay, I just turned off the heat. I removed the beef. Once this beef cools, I'm gonna dice this. Not dice it, like maybe like 1-inch cubes, I think. Whatever size you want it to be. You can have larger pieces or small. I kind of like them on the small side for this dish. It needs to cool a little bit for me to handle it. Okay, so now again, if you do everything in the Dutch oven, you're not even gonna be doing these steps. You'll just add your onions in right away. And you know, you can do that now. We can cook everything in here and add it to the pot, or you can deglaze right now, and then we can work in the pot. It doesn't matter, okay? The choice is yours. I want to get this out of here. I want to work on a smaller thing. A little bit of the 3 cups of this beef stock I have. Might have to put my heat up a little bit. We're gonna clean this pan right now. As you bring heat to this with the liquid, it's going to make it nice and smooth again. See, like that. But this is a lot of the flavor, so we want to keep it all. Turn off the heat, pour it right back in here, okay? Okay, you can heat this pot up to medium. Okay, putting olive oil here. I don't need to use the avocado oil now. That's 1 large onion. All right, we're gonna saute these until they get very soft, about 7-10 minutes, I would say. You could use a little bit of salt here to help them release their water. Okay, those onions, while they're going, you can, once the beef is cool enough, you can just cube it. Make sure you save all the juices from that beef. So I have it in a plate right here. I have the other batch where you can't see. So I think about this is good. You can go smaller if you like, or you can go bigger. Okay, so my onions are pretty soft now. Set your oven to 300 degrees Fahrenheit and make enough room that it's gonna be able to accommodate this Dutch oven with the lid. Here's our garlic, 8 cloves of garlic minced. Okay, I want a lot of flavor in here. And we'll just cook this garlic for a couple minutes until it gets very fragrant. Okay, that smells really good. Tomato paste, this is 3 tablespoons or 45 grams roughly. That is really nice. We've been sauteing this for a few minutes. If that paste starts to burn at all, you can add a splash of water, and that will happen if you did your beef in this pot. You will probably have to, you know, clean your pot a few times with water, beef stock, wine if you want to use it. Remember, I told you to save that flour. This is the flour that the beef was in, okay? You're not cross-contaminating anything because you're using it still right now. I'm gonna take a little bit more than a 1/4 cup, and I know this because I put the flour on all the cubes last time, so I used more of it. All right, let's get it in there. If our gravy's not thick enough at the end, we can thicken it very easily, okay? So look, I wanna cook this until I get rid of all the white. See, the bottom of that pot's getting a little brown now. It's not a big deal because we're gonna hit it up with the liquid. So that's it. Just make sure that it's all cooked out for about 1 or 2 minutes. This is that 3 cups of the beef stock and the deglazed liquid from the beef. Okay, bring this to a boil. 2 tablespoons balsamic vinegar, 1 tablespoon Worcestershire sauce, 1 teaspoon hot red pepper flakes, 1 tablespoon brown sugar, or 15 grams, roughly. 1 tablespoon packed. You gotta pack brown sugar. If you don't pack it, the measurements can be very off. Or you can just weigh it and not have any issue. It's not what people in the United States like to do at all, because we get a lot of complaints about it. All right, so I'm just mixing this around and I want it to boil. Okay, look, see it's bubbling, so it's starting to thicken a little bit, okay? Turn it off, that's all you have to do. Just bring it to a boil for a minute or 2. All the juices from the beef now. See all these juices pouring in? Look at all those juices. It's good. When you're boiling it, make sure you're still scratching the bottom of the pot with a wooden spoon, not a metal spoon, just so you're getting everything incorporated. So this is really nice now. So it's a little liquidy here, but it's gonna thicken as it cooks. So all we have to do is cover it, and then in the oven for 2 hours. You can check it at the halfway point, but we have plenty of liquid in here. Make sure you have a tight fitting lid so you get very minimal evaporation. At that 2-hour mark, we're gonna check for tenderness, and then we'll probably cook it maybe for another 30 minutes with the lid off to thicken it a little bit if we like. As I said in the beginning, the mushrooms are optional. Okay, I'm gonna heat this pan up to about medium. And then I have my pearl onions right here, my mushrooms, and my green onion. Okay, so a little bit of olive oil or avocado, neutral oil, whatever you want. And these are microwaved, so there's gonna be water in them. Let me take some of it out. These onions are always frozen. I can't really find them fresh. What's nice about doing it in this pan that we did all the beef, and we're gonna keep all this remaining bits of flavor in it. Gonna keep them around the center where that heat is, and I'm just gonna crisp these up, get some nice color on each side. It'll only take a couple minutes. See how nice and brown they are? You can just stick them off to the side, put them right back in that bowl. Try not to take all the oil out. Doesn't matter though. You can cook mushrooms in a dry pan, or you can cook them with oil. Don't make a difference really. Just leave them spread out. What's gonna happen is the heat is going to eventually release all the water. So mushrooms initially act as a sponge. They will absorb everything. Then when enough heat happens to them, it takes about 5 minutes, all the water will appear. And then after that point is when you can brown them and all that. Season them. Okay, so you can see how some bubbling starting to happen now. So the water is starting to release from them. And then that water will basically like clean your pan for you as it goes. You can let them go longer if you like. It doesn't really matter. It's like hard to overcook them too. Okay, I'm gonna put the onions right back in. Butter, that's 2 tablespoons. I think the recipe said 3. You can start with 2. Butter's gonna make them nice and glistening. You know, I'm just gonna season these with salt and pepper, but you can put herbs on them like thyme, a little bit of rosemary, oregano, whatever you like. Salt, pepper, and I'll just use part of these green onions because the other part I'll use for garnish when I serve it to the taste tester. Okay, you can turn off the heat now. Again, you could do this towards the end. You could do it now, set them off to the side. I'm just gonna set them off. I'll put them in a plate. Okay, so this has been about 2 hours. I'll show you how it looks. So there's a lot of liquid in there. It's not super thick yet, and I had a feeling it wasn't gonna be as thick. We did bigger pieces of the beef. Let's check for tenderness first. Chuck roast, you know, depending on how large you keep the chunks, will take anywhere from like 2 to 3 hours to get nice and tender. All right, so there's one piece right there that you can see fairly easily. See if I can take my fork and kind of like break it apart very easily. See that, the shred? If your beef isn't falling apart, which it isn't, we got time, you can just put this in the oven with the cover off. 300 degrees again, and that's gonna thicken it up. I like a lot of gravy on this one because you could serve this over mashed potatoes or rice. Okay, I'm gonna add this back in the oven for about 25, 30 more minutes. Okay, so I stuck this in the oven for probably another 20 minutes. You can see how it will reduce more the longer you keep it in the oven uncovered. All the fat has risen to the top. It's been out for about 5 minutes. You can see how much fat is over here. Chuck is extremely fatty. There's a ton of fat in here. But anyway, this is a very simple way to remove fat super quickly, okay? Basically, the fat's at the top now, and then the fat will stick to this. And you know, you don't have to remove all the fat here, but like that whole layer was done and it's over here still, so I'll just do this side. Okay, that's all I'm doing. And then done, that quickly, all right? Super easy. You can put all the mushrooms that we made before in here. You can choose not to use mushrooms at all if you don't like. The choice is truly yours. I'm gonna save some of them so I can top it on there, but I'll put some of these in there right now. If this isn't thick enough for you right here, like this, all you have to do is mix a slurry of maybe 1 tablespoon of cornstarch, like 1.5 ounces of water, and then just put it on a burner till it bubbles, mix it in, and then it will thicken it up massively. This is fine for me, like here. I wanna have enough sauce for tonight, but we need to taste it. Now, I told you in the beginning, I only put in 1 tablespoon of sugar, so we're gonna see if we need more. I think it's really good like that. Maybe a little bit of salt, just a touch. All right, we're gonna plate this up for the taste tester.
My first thing I'm gonna say before I even like start eating it is like I just had it yesterday. These pearl onions suck. There's no
That's your
need.
mother's idea to put them in here. So you take it out on her, not on me.
Thanks.
Sorry, Ma.
Thanks,
And they are a part of beef bourguignon.
They are a little. They're kind of bad.
What, they're a little too fancy?
I don't like onions. They're mushy in my mouth. It's disgusting. I'm just gonna move them to the side.
Okay. Showing your picky eater tendencies.
It's like one of the only things I don't like. Like that's how you know it's bad. I like everything. I love rice dishes.
It's not a rice dish. It's the beef is the main thing, and I put it on rice. In the last week, I did it on mashed potatoes for you, remember?
What do you like it better with, rice or mashed potatoes?
Honestly, I like rice more than mashed potatoes, answering your question, Mom. I'm gonna give this a 9. It's not a 10. I'm not the biggest fan of stuff that are like super rich. And I feel like this is one of those things. I feel like one of my favorite things is like citrusy flavors. I love like lemon.
Okay, no, this is a really good comment. So it needs acid in here. There is no acid in this. This is one of the few dishes I've made that doesn't have wine in it. Normally I always will put wine in to give it that acidic kick. We get a lot of comments, people are like, oh, every recipe you make. So this one was not, but you can add that in there. And I think it's really important how he detected that I didn't get that acid amount in here because he's the taste tester and he has an immaculate palate.
The rice with some green onions and the sauce is really good though. It's like a 10. Maybe a little more spice.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, some like slap your mom.
Slap your mama. Okay, I know, he doused it in slap your mama the other night. Now, speaking of, you already gave me my 9, so I'm good. Take it, let's see you do one of those onions.
You're so bad. Pearl onions are gross.
Okay, you heard it here first. Pearl onions, horrible.
You're not the taste tester.
No, I know.
You're just the cook.
Maybe I can start doing my own taste tests.
That would be boring.
Yeah, I know.
Most people just skip into any video for me.
You hear this, kid? Do you hear that? I honestly, and you know what? There is a lot of truth to that. People actually write that, James. Not that you would know. You don't ever read the comments.
I'm the kid.
Because you're what?
I'm the kid.
The kid or the king?
The kid.
What is going on here?